1 month ago, world leaders celebrated. The Iran war was over. A deal was signed. Oil prices dropped. The Strait of Hormuz was going to reopen.
It lasted less than 30 days.
Today, American bombs are falling on Iran for the 10th straight night. 3 U.S. service members are dead. Gas in America is back above $4 a gallon, and the president says, quote, "To me, I think it's over."
So how did a signed peace deal collapse in under a month? Who broke it? And the question that matters most, what happens next?
Today, we break down exactly how it fell apart, argue both sides of who's responsible, and give you the AI verdict with real probabilities on where this goes.
Let's break it down.
Before we start, a quick note, and we're not saying this to brag.
When that deal was signed, we ran the numbers on this channel. We put the odds of a ceasefire holding a full 60 days at 50%, a coin flip. And we put the odds of Trump resuming strikes inside that window at 30%.
It didn't hold, and he did resume.
Now, being right on a coin flip is genius, but the reasoning matters because it tells you what to watch now.
We said the deal's biggest weakness wasn't Iran. It was that it was a memorandum of understanding, not a binding treaty, with vague wording and no enforcement.
And that's exactly what broke it. As Slate reported, the deal's vague wording was, quote, ripe for misinterpretation. Both sides accused the other of violating it. Both had a case.
So the lesson for what comes next, watch the structure of any new deal, not the headlines about it. A signing ceremony is not a peace.
Here's exactly how 30 days of peace unraveled.
Mid-June, the U.S. and Iran sign a memorandum of understanding. 14 points. Stop all military action. Reopen the Strait of Hormuz. G7 leaders back it. Oil prices fall. Everyone exhales.
June 25th, 1 week later, according to NPR, an Iranian drone slams into a cargo ship transiting the Strait of Hormuz. No casualties, no major damage. But that single strike set off the chain, because under the deal, the strait was supposed to be reopening. Instead, ships were being hit. What followed was the classic escalator ladder. Iran fires at ships in the strait. The U.S. launches strikes on Iranian targets. Iran retaliates against U.S. bases in the region. Each side says the other broke it first. NPR's assessment, each strike and counterstrike chipped away at the pillars of the agreement, and red lines set by both sides have now been crossed. By mid-July, the deal is functionally dead. Trump's own words on the ceasefire, "To me, I think it's over." And now we're in something arguably worse than before the deal, because both sides have less trust and fewer red lines left to respect. Let's be clear about what this actually costs, in lives and in dollars. 3 U.S. service members were killed in an Iranian attack on the Mawathiq Salti Air Base in Jordan. Secretary of State Marco Rubio called their deaths heartbreaking, noting that U.S. forces intercepted nearly all incoming missiles, but one, in his words, leaked through, hit the wrong place. On the other side, Iran said Friday that U.S. strikes have killed at least 46 people and wounded more than 400 since hostilities resumed. That figure comes from Iranian officials. And ordinary Iranians are being crushed economically. Iranian outlet Khabar Online reported an unprecedented hike in food prices. Some items up 300 to 400%. Vegetable oil up 431%. Eggs up 342%. Meanwhile, in America, TAA reports the national average for gas hit $4.03. A week earlier, it was $3.87. A year ago, $3.14. Crude oil surged more than 15% in a single week. Why? Because shipping through the Strait of Hormuz, which carried about 1/5 of the world's oil before the war, has largely come to a standstill. The International Energy Agency has called this the largest supply disruption in the history of the global oil market. Its executive director, Fatih Birol, said a full and unconditional reopening of the strait is essential to avoid further deterioration in global energy security. So this isn't a distant war. It's in your gas tank, your grocery bill, and your electricity price, wherever you live.
Now the hard question, who broke this deal? Let's argue the case against Iran first as strongly as we can.
Argument 1. Iran struck first after signing. The June 25th drone attack on a cargo ship came a week after the deal. Whatever the justification, that was a military action against civilian shipping in the exact waterway the deal was meant to reopen.
Argument 2. The Strait was the deal's core promise. The entire agreement and the global economic relief that followed it rested on Hormuz reopening. Attacks on shipping there attacked the deal's foundation directly. Argument 3. The escalation spread beyond Iran. Iran attacked a water desalination plant in Kuwait, a country with extreme water scarcity, and Iran-backed Houthis in Yemen claimed strikes on 2 Saudi oil tankers in the Red Sea, announcing a naval blockade on Saudi ships. That widened the war to third parties. Argument 4. American troops died. The strike on the Uggiano Air Base killed 3 U.S. service members. Whatever the strategic logic, that's a direct attack on U.S. forces. So the case against Iran, it struck first after signing, hit the deal's central promise, widened the conflict to neighbors, and killed American troops. Now the case against the U.S. argued just as hard. Argument 1. The threat was there from day one. Within hours of signing the deal, Trump told reporters that if he didn't like how things went, quote, "we'll go back to shooting at them, dropping bombs on their head." Critics argue you cannot build trust while threatening to bomb the other party at a peace signing.
Argument 2. The response scale is contested. Trump has said the U.S. will destroy one bridge or power plant every time Iran targets a ship in the Strait. Critics argue trading civilian infrastructure for shipping attacks escalates rather than deters.
Argument 3. Targeting civilian infrastructure. Trump has repeatedly threatened Iran's power stations and bridges, and at one point earlier in the war vowed to annihilate Iran's whole civilization. Until recently, he'd backed off those threats, citing diplomatic progress. Iran's leaders may believe that line has now been crossed.
Argument 4. The deal was built badly. This is the structural critique. As Slate noted, the memorandum's vague wording was ripe for misinterpretation. Critics say the U.S. pushed a fast, headline-friendly signing instead of a precise, enforceable agreement, and vague deals break.
Argument 5. Congress was kept in the dark. Lawmakers reported not receiving the full terms. Critics argue a deal with no domestic buy-in and no oversight was never going to survive its first stress test.
So, the case against the U.S., threats at the signing, escalation to infrastructure, and a deal designed for a photo op rather than durability.
Here's the honest read on who broke it, and it's not satisfying.
Both sides accuse the other of breaking it first, and NPR's reporting notes that red lines set by both sides have been crossed. This wasn't one violation, it was a spiral where each response justified the next.
But there's a third answer that neither government wants to hear. The deal itself was structurally weak. A memorandum of understanding is not a treaty. It had vague wording, no enforcement mechanism, no verification body, and no domestic ratification.
When you sign a deal that vague between two sides with zero trust, you haven't ended a war, you've scheduled a pause, and handed both sides a document each can interpret in their own favor.
So, Iran took the first military action after signing. The U.S. escalated to infrastructure threats, and the deal's design made both of those almost inevitable. Now the part that actually matters. Where does this go from here? 4 realistic scenarios.
Scenario 1, a revived deal. Regional mediators have reportedly proposed terms to revive the collapsed agreement. It's described as the first significant diplomatic opening since fighting resumed, though its prospects are called uncertain. If both sides are exhausted enough, a second tighter deal is possible.
Scenario 2, grinding stalemate. No deal, no full war. Strikes and counterstrikes continue at the current tempo. The strait stays mostly closed. Oil stays elevated. This is the frozen escalation path, painful, expensive, and open-ended.
Scenario 3, major U.S. escalation. Trump is expected to decide in the coming days whether to expand the military campaign. He is mused about taking control of the strait by force, possibly seizing strategic islands held by Iran. Analysts note that would likely require a far larger naval presence.
Scenario 4, regional spillover. The Houthi blockade on Saudi shipping and the strike on Kuwait's desalination plant show this is already leaking outward. If Gulf states are drawn in directly, this stops being a U.S.-Iran war and becomes a regional one.
And the variable sitting under all 4, oil. Every day the strait stays closed, the economic pressure on every government involved, including Washington, increases.
All right, AI verdict. Where does this actually go?
Here's the honest read. Pressure toward a deal. Mediators already proposing revival terms. Oil above $4 a gallon is political poison in a midterm year. Iran's economy is in severe distress. Food up 400%. Neither side has achieved its stated objective. Global pressure, IEA calls it the largest supply disruption ever. Pressure toward escalation, red lines on both sides already crossed. American deaths create domestic pressure to hit harder. Trump is weighing expansion of the campaign now. Conflict already spilling to Kuwait, Saudi shipping. Trust is lower than before the first deal.
AI verdict. A new ceasefire or deal is likely, but not soon and not stable. The economics push hard toward a settlement because $4 gas in a closed strait hurt everyone, including Washington. But the trust needed for a durable deal is now lower than it was in June. Expect more escalation before diplomacy wins.
The most accurate framing isn't war forever or peace is coming. It's that both sides are being squeezed toward a deal they don't trust, and that produces exactly the kind of fragile agreement that broke the first time.
AI probability read. A new ceasefire or deal is signed within 3 months, 55%. That new deal survives longer than the last one, 40%. The U.S. significantly expands the campaign first, 40%. Strait of Hormuz fully reopens before end of 2026, 30%. Conflict pulls in a Gulf state directly as a combatant, 25%.
Sir, the most likely path, more escalation than a second deal that is itself fragile. The cycle repeats unless the next agreement has what the last one lacked: enforcement, verification, and something binding.
The first deal failed not because peace was impossible, but because the paperwork was weaker than the pressures acting on it. Whether the next one survives depends entirely on whether anyone learned that.
So there it is. A peace deal signed in June, dead by July. 10 straight nights of strikes, 3 American service members killed, 46 dead in Iran by Tehran count, $4 gas, and a strait that carries a fifth of the world's oil still closed.
The lesson isn't that peace is impossible, it's that a signing ceremony isn't peace, structure is, and this deal had none.
So here's your call. Do you think a new deal gets signed in the next 3 months? And more importantly, who do you think broke the first one? Iran, the U.S., or the deal itself?
Comment Iran, USA, or the deal, and tell us why. We'll pin the strongest argument from each side, and keep it civil. People are dying in this one.
And subscribe, because we're tracking this daily. When we make a prediction on this channel, we come back and check it, right or wrong. That's the whole point of AI Verdict.
Next video, we break down what actually happens to the global economy if the Strait of Hormuz stays closed through winter, because that's the scenario nobody's planning for.
A deal that took months to build collapsed in 30 days. The question now isn't whether they'll try again, it's whether the next one will be built strong enough to survive contact with reality. Drop your verdict. Stay informed. See you in the next one.